Yeah, shucks, I thought this church was called something else. Shucks. Okay, well, anyways. Well, that's odd. Well, now I'm all confused. I wonder if I should walk over to that other church. Shucks. The streets are such a mess here. I think the Catholic Church is closed. I'd like to go there. This born again thing, I thought it was called something else. They're completely closed. Maybe down the street here. It says 24 hours a day. They're open for Christmas weekend, probably because they don't know when they're doing the services. Yeah, I hate when a church is pressuring you to do things that you're not comfortable with. And like, I never grew up that way. We weren't members. Were you and your family like ongoing members at a church? You go every weekend and you're paying, how do you call it when you pay towards, you donate towards the church? What's that called? Tithes. We weren't. We would just go at Christmas and Easter. And I wish we would have been involved in a church community. I really wish we would have been. But we weren't. So when I started, when I had a child and I was in church with my child, it wasn't a real familiar, comfortable thing with me. We loved worship and praise and worship and everything. But, yeah, gosh, we need to teach our kids to be part of a community, right? I really wish my family would have been part of a community somehow. I tried with my daughter, but I was sick the whole time and being misdiagnosed through my entire childhood. All 18 years that I was raising her, I was being misdiagnosed, and we would attend church and stuff, but we were not part of a church family, and I have regrets about that, but I couldn't do any better than I was. And I was talking to a friend last night. When you're trying to be a part of a church like that, they expect you to go to Bible study and weekly Bible study. They really expect you to be a part of, really, really partake. Not just go to church every Sunday, but really getting plugged in and involved. And I was sick the whole time raising my kid. So we were on the fringes and would attend church. And I think my daughter has a lot of resentment about that. But I don't know if she understands that I was sick I was brain injured when she was born. I was sick before she was born. And being gaslighted and being told I was fine. And I had multiple things going on. Not just Chiari malformation and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but, severe insomnia, undiagnosed sleep apnea, undiagnosed narrow airway, sleepwalking and sleep eating that were being misdiagnosed. I was sick the whole time I was raising her. And man, did I fight to do my very best as a mother. I tried to be the best mother, absolute that I possibly could be. And, I really wonder if I made this mistake of putting my kid before myself. And I always considered her own needs before mine. And I really don't think that you're supposed to parent that way. And yet my mind still leans towards that you should do whatever it takes for your kids to, be raised right and get their needs met and blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't putting myself first. And you're supposed to, I think, put yourself first as a parent. And I still lean towards the other way because my mom was not that way. I don't think my mom put her kids first. She wasn't a horrible, terrible person, but she did not put her kids first. And So I kind of went in the other direction. And maybe a bit too far. But yet, if you asked me to do it over again, I would probably do the same thing, because I still lean towards that line of thinking that being a parent is the most important job in the world. And even my mother-in-law, my mother-in-law would tell people that I was a really good parent, and that's saying a lot, because she was a tough lady. Okay, so there's nobody at that church down the road, so let's go see if there's anybody at this other church or the Catholic one. 2 we've gone to so far. I don't know. My legs are going numb. I don't know if I can make it to the Catholic one. We'll see. Well, maybe there's a service sometime tomorrow, but it's kind of odd that nothing's posted on the doors and stuff. Yeah, and I wanted more children. So did my husband, my first husband, and my second husband really, really wanted to have kids with me. And, well, my first husband, I was sick. I wasn't sleeping. He wasn't sleeping. My daughter wasn't sleeping. My daughter had severe apnea. We would both lay awake all night listening to her stop breathing. The surgeon said, well, she's too small to do surgery. Her adenoids are the problem. She's too small to have surgery. I said, you know what? My husband's literally losing his mind, and I am falling apart. We literally do not sleep. Our ears are being stretched down the hallway, and we listen to this child stop breathing all night long. And he reluctantly did surgery, because he thought she was too small for anesthesia or surgery. And, my husband was losing his mind and raging and falling apart. And eventually he started sleeping in the basement. And I was just ragged, just run ragged. I wasn't sleeping because of my own undiagnosed sleep apnea. I didn't know what apnea was. From my understanding, she was stopping breathing because her adenoids. I didn't know what apnea was. I knew I didn't have huge adenoids. So they did her surgery, and she was thrilled. But I was still exhausted, and my husband wanted more children, at least another one. And we were both too wrecked. At that point, we knew we couldn't have more children because, we were struggling so bad. Well, how can you bring another child into the world when you're both so severely sleep deprived? That's just crazy. And I was brain injured. We didn't know what was wrong with me, but I was brain injured from the epidural. And years went by. I don't want to get into details. My second husband really, really wanted children, and he knew too, though. After being with me, he knew that there, both these men in my lives, they both knew. We all three of us knew that something was wrong with me. There's something wrong, with my health. We just didn't know what. And like my first husband and I thought that I was dying of some rare disease. And then it turns out I do have, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and MCAS and Chiari malformation and all this other garbage. My husband never found out about that because he passed away. He never found out the truth. But the apnea, the sleepwalking, the sleep eating, the narrow airway, and he never did find out what was wrong with me. And then my second husband, my second partner, we also knew there was something wrong with me. He didn't know any of the diagnosis either. And he really, really, really wanted children. And I just, how do you, when you're burning candle on both ends and you're not sleeping, he was such a lovely guy too. I was madly in love with him. How do you bring a child into the world when you're just wrecked? You're just bloody exhausted. Okay, so no sign on this church door. Let's walk over to the Catholic. Now I'm at this point where when I'm out here, I'm looking for benches. If I could sit and rest for 20 minutes or something. Because I get to the point where I'm not sure if I can make it home or not after I've walked a bit. So yeah, I really, really wish, when I was little I wanted a half a dozen kids. I really, really wish I could have had more children, but you know what? Both my guys died and I would have been left sick with a couple of children on my own. And I remember, being so sick with pneumonia, so sleep deprived, and sitting out in the pouring rain at my little girl's soccer games, sicker than a dog, And, all her lessons and all her different extracurricular activities, driving her around for, years and years and years. No, I don't begrudge that, but imagine if I had 2 or 3 kids and I'm sick and then alone with them, widowed sick with kids. How hard would that have been? And no family stepping in to help. Yeah, I regret not having more children, but it would have been impossible for me to manage. And with my daughter, I was literally, burning the candle at both ends, just drowning, raising her, and she was, I adored her. She was the little girl I always wanted. She was so cute, fun. It wasn't easy for her, everything that was going on. You got a sick mom and you can't understand any of it. To this day, I don't know if it's actually any of this is actually registered to her. That I was sick the whole time. I was sick before she was born. Life is hard. I feel like I've laughed way more than anybody on this earth. I feel like I've had a million laughs in my life. And what I did have, I really enjoyed it, Like, I didn't have a whole lot in life. I never became wealthy. I never was able to get a degree, I didn't travel the world. But what I did have, I really, I really, really enjoyed what I did have in life. But damn, life was hard too, Life was so hard and short. When you hear old people say life is so short, oh my gosh, in a blink of an eye. Guys, it can be. Once you get sick and you can't get well. Anyways, I thought I'd keep videoing keep recording until I walk down to this other church. I don't think I can do it. My legs are Pretty numb already. Maybe I'll just go another block or two and see if I can see traffic down there. But I'm running out of time here.